everyone. Juan here, president of Sage Real Estate in Long Beach. I have the pleasure of interviewing Rich Gibson today with PKS Investments. He's going to be talking about Delaware Statutory Trust. As an apartment owner, if you're thinking about selling and you're considering a 1031, this is another option when it comes to a 1031. So stay tuned. Rich, the very first question. A lot of our clients are apartment owners. They've owned their units for over 30 plus years. They've been self-managing. They depend on the income. They want to sell. They're tired of the repairs and upkeep and all the laws keeps changing. What is an option when they want to sell but they don't want to pay taxes? How does the Delaware Statutory Trust come into play?
Great question. Most of the people I find that fit well, that own apartments that fit well for a Delaware Statutory Trust, or as we call it, a DST, is that they definitely don't want to pay taxes. That's one of the biggest things. The second, I think, in line is they don't want to have any kind of management responsibility. They want to travel, they're tired of it, they're tired of fixing or collecting rent. So in the Delaware Statutory Trust, one of the nice things about it is it's set up to be able to handle a 1031 exchange. IRS made a ruling back in 2004 that it qualifies for a 1031 exchange from investment property of any kind, but specifically your 4-unit owners, it's perfect for them. So when they go to sell, they go through the 1031 exchange process. They identify 1 or 2 or 3 different DSTs in their 45-day time period, and then they've got 180 days after close of escrow to close it. The nice thing about it, in your general, why it's worth looking, because most of the time income is important to the owner. Management now is not. They really have more of a passive real estate investment, more like what they call mailbox money. So it comes in every month on a regular schedule, whether it's first of the month or 15th of the month, and that's all they have to worry about. And so the way it works, they sell their property, goes to accommodator, they've identified their 1031, their DSTs for the 1031. Once escrow closes, the money basically moves just from escrow to the DST.
What types of real estate will they be investing in?
They will, all the real estate that is invested in is on the institutional level, meaning that we're probably dealing with buildings that are 50 million up to a couple hundred million. The nice thing about a DST, you can have up to 499 investors into one DST. So when we collect all that money, depending on what the equity raise is or how much money the sponsor is trying to get for that building, we now can buy huge buildings. Buildings that typically are projects that an insurance company or a pension plan would invest in. The ones that are probably the most popular, you got student housing around major universities around the country. You've got multifamily, a variety of sources, either got apartments, or there's one of my sponsors that has over 7,000 individual homes they rent out. And you've got triple net commercial retail type. Those are the 4 major ones.
Okay, that's perfect. Rich, so probably 3 questions that our clients are going to want to know. What would be the initial investment? What's the rate of return they could expect? And holding period. How long are we in this investment for?
Very good. The initial investments, if it's a 1031, it's going to be $100,000. If you're bringing in just new cash that you want to start investing, it's $25,000. The rate of return comes in 2 different forms. You get an annual return as far as income, and that ranges typically from 5 to about 6.5%, depending on the building. So of your initial investment, so if somebody invests $1 million and it's 6%, you got $60,000 a year in income divided by 12, and that's your monthly income, $5,000. And most of that income, as far as the rate of return, depending on what type of real estate you get into, is already been washed for taxes with the depreciation. So that's your net income. When they go to sell the building, only the investors get to participate in the appreciation, and I've seen it from about 20% return up to about a 40 or 50% return on the initial investment. But depending on the time of market and all that. Now the holding period, they've got a range of typically 5 to 7 years because they want to time it in the right time of the market. They don't want to be forced to have to sell, let's say now, when maybe the market wouldn't be as good. But 3 years from now, it'll be much better. And so that 5 to 7 years helps fit the overall plan.
Now, Rich, a common conflict that we see that arises is when children inherit a property, how to dispose of the property. Do they want to sell it, or are they connected to the property? How will a DST help resolve that?
Actually, a DST is a great estate planning tool. When you buy a DST, you fill out a beneficiary form. And so you can put in as many of your beneficiaries you want and percentage of ownership they would have. And so let's compare. If you have a fourplex that the owners, they die, they have 2 sons, one son wants to keep it, the other son wants to cash out, they have different requirements, and they argue over it. Well, in the DST, they just have 50% of ownership each of the money that's in there. When that building goes to sell, the person who wants cash takes his cash out. The person who wants to roll over and do another 1031 or whatever, however they want to deal with it, they deal with it. So you don't have that conflict. There's no real emotional tie to the property. And just like in any real estate, you get a stepped up basis of date of death. So it's not treated any different than any other real estate.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Rich, let us know of any risks involved with the DST.
I think one of the bigger risks that I see out there, it's illiquid. Now, if you look at, if they have investment property now, that money's basically illiquid as well. The nice thing, even though it's illiquid, the holding period, again, is only 5 to 7 years. At the end of that time period, they could pull their money out. They could do another 1031 if they didn't need the money. They have options after that 5 or 7 years. The next one, and actually this is good for a lot of people that want to get into it, you have no control of what's going on inside that DST. You have no voting rights, you can't manage anything, and the people that I find that are real good candidates for DSTs don't want any control. They want to now have a passive real estate investment that keeps paying them every month. They're tired of dealing with it. So those are the 2 main risks. There are a few others that we can talk about, if we sit down with somebody, but those are the 2 main.